Hello and welcome to CC Imaging's Introduction to Adobe Photoshop. In this video we're going to be looking at the image window. Now here is the image that we created in our previous video, and we're going to look at all the different parts of this particular window. So we can see in the top left corner we have the name of the file that's open. Next we have the zoom range. So if I zoom in, so I use the zoom tool, we can see that this changes, and now we're at 100%. In a previous video I changed the preferences in Photoshop so that when I zoom in or zoom out, it changes the size of this window. So I'm going to use a keyboard shortcut now to zoom back out again, which is Control and minus. Control plus will zoom in. Now we can move this window where we want by clicking and dragging the top of it here. If we want to minimize it, we can do this. We can maximize it, or we can close this. If we close the image and we've made no changes, it might just close. If we have made some changes, then it will ask us to save it. Down in the bottom corner we have a menu here which shows lots of different options. I tend to like using Document Profile so that I can see the embedded colour space of every image that I open. This one we can see is sRGB, and for proofing we can see that it's using RGB/8, and this means it's an 8-bit image. We also can see the rulers here, which I tend to use quite a lot for layout and precision placement of objects. Rulers are something that we're going to cover in a different video. Really they're just there because, as standard, I like them to be on every image. Photoshop also has something called screen modes, which are very useful, and they can be found up here at the top of the screen. If we go to the full screen mode, we can see that this image now takes up the whole area of the screen. This is our zoom percentage up here, so if I zoom in, we can see we're at 100%. Now this is completely uninterrupted space, and we can navigate around this by using the hand tool. Now the hand tool is easiest when used with the spacebar, so the keyboard shortcut spacebar, if we hold the spacebar down, we can see it selects the hand. If we then click and drag, we can move around this space. Another way to quickly move around your image is to hold the H key on the keyboard. If you hold the H key and then click on your image, you'll see that it quickly zooms out and we get a rectangle which represents our viewing area. If we move around the image, we let go of the mouse button, it will recenter and zoom in back on that particular location. We will close this one here, so we'll change the view mode. Close. We'll open another file. If we zoom into this one, Control and plus, or Apple and plus on a Mac. Change the view mode again. Hold space, click and drag, and we move around. If we hold H and click and drag, we zoom out, get a viewport, and then when we release, we zoom back into 100% or whatever magnification level we were at into the image there. So that's a very quick way to move around the document space. Now it's worth remembering that the image has its own background, and this can be very important when we are copying and pasting different elements from other files onto one file. So if we zoom out and we drag the corner just here, we can see that it has a paler grey background. So we'll create a new document. And using the move tool, if I simply click and drag, it will drop it on here. Now, where it gets to the edge of the image, we can no longer see the document we've pasted on, but if we press Ctrl and T, we can see the transform anchor points, and we can see the boundary of the image that we've dropped on. So this is very useful if we are doing pixel perfect compositing or layering of items. I'll delete that there. When it comes to doing complicated selections, maybe you want to use the lasso tool, it's always best to do this if we are in the full screen view mode. We zoom in here to 100% and we get the lasso. Now some people like to use the lasso, some people like to use the polygon lasso. I like the freehand lasso. It's important to use the full screen mode because when we hold the spacebar and click and drag, we can actually click and drag and move the image in an infinite direction, up, down, left or right, which stops these palettes here overlapping our image. For example, if I wanted to quickly select this area here, I could use the lasso tool. We'll quickly select the area, and when I get to here it becomes a bit difficult. So if I hold the Alt key on the keyboard, it will modify this lasso to the polygon tool, and as you can see my hand is now off the mouse button, that is, but because my finger's holding down the Alt key, if I move into the area here, you can see that it's slowly moving the image across, which is very useful when the palettes actually overlap on top of the image. So that's a quick overview of the image window in Adobe Photoshop.